Okay, we'll see about this. That'll define WoW lore. Watch, stop normalizing. I don't want to read. I don't want to. I don't want to hear like the Nazi thing. Okay. Anybody that refers to people nowadays as Nazis is like, I mean, most of them are just like hysterical. Okay. Well, let's go. Yeah, it's clickbait basically.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another World of Warcraft video. Today we've got a very interesting topic. So, Azshara's Eternal Palace has been cleared on normal and heroic difficulty, and that does mean that we have the end cinematic for this raid.
Okay.
And as far as end cinematics go, it certainly has been a little bit more of a controversial one.
It's been a cock tease, man.
A lot shorter than a lot of people would have hoped. But there still is quite a lot that we can get from the lore.
Oh, wow,
covered.
new setting.
I think it does tell us quite a lot about the future of the game.
Look at that.
So in today's video, there actually is a fair amount of stuff to get into.
Is that his Fallout 76
so let's just
back?
do that. Now, for context, during the fight, Azshara is taunting us about how the Heart of Azeroth is going to be used to shatter the prison of ny'lotha.
Okay.
And we sort of see the heart power being coalesced into this device that is in the middle of the room.
Right.
Though nobody was massively concerned about that, I think the characters just decided we'll defeat Azshara and then deal with the weird glowy ball Heart of Azeroth and ny'lotha thing. And now, unfortunately for Azshara, she bugged out at 35% and was easily killed by the initial wave of teams who went through there. And whenever Azshara is defeated,
nice.
What do you see? Well, she falls down to the ground, and she is not dead. She breathes a little bit and then she passes out. And when you look at the camera work, she is very clearly distraught about this.
Yeah, she's got her ass beat. Of course she is.
Her eyes, the way that they are really showing frailty and how she moves her hands. For her, her entire plan has just collapsed and fallen over, and then she looks up and she sees her two enemies, Lor'themar and Jaina, going there to finish the job. Now, there's a bit of a problem here. Lor'themar and Jaina are very negligent because while they are very slowly and dramatically walking towards Azshara, what's happening? Well, the device that Azshara was actually powering up, you know, the whole point of that fight, that begins to actually activate. So yes, this device, it has sucked up all that delicious Heart of Azeroth power, and then it is unleashed, clearly shattering the prison, shattering those big massive chains going into the depths below, and freeing ny'lotha.
That's
I do
great.
find it quite strange that Lor'themar and Jaina really did absolutely nothing to stop that.
No,
and
they just stood there.
They
didn't even kill Azshara and finish her off.
That was a little bit of an odd thing, Blizz. But anyway, the chains fall down, and I wonder if this is overanalyzing, but I mean, the whole circle of stars is where this fight takes place, and when you look at the chains falling down into the inky blackness, they kind of do look like, sort of fantasy stardust, fantasy nebula, that kind of thing. Well, nebula, I suppose. So there could be a little bit of a nod there. Anyway, they fall down. You see this writhing void, and then what happens? Well, the Eye of ny'lotha opens, the whole area is flooded with orange.
The only good part of the cinematic.
Thinking about the size of those chains, they are absolutely, like, the chains are massive, therefore his eye is absolutely massive, and it was confirmed that over in the Shrine of Storms, that was actually a little bit of ny'lotha. So the sheer scale of ny'lotha is seemingly just a little bit silly.
Oh, that's
now,
actually true. I never even thought of that.
Previous old gods like Cthulhu and Yogg-Saron is that we were fighting essentially manifestations of them in their prisons. Well, it could be that this is the actual full-sized body of ny'lotha. Now, if that is the case, then that is not something that we fought before, so that is actually quite new for the lore of World of Warcraft, and I suspect actually something that could be quite cool in terms of what Blizzard could actually do with it. But anyway, at this stage, things are a bit odd for our partnership between Azshara and ny'lotha, because ny'lotha is free, he's awake, stuff's going good, but Azshara pretty much is unconscious and dying. Well, not for long. So we see those smoky, void, tendril tentacles rise up from where ny'lotha is, just looking, you know, exactly like how you saw them in the opening cinematic, but with the power dynamics entirely being shifted. So they penetrate the room where the Azshara fight took place, they pick her up, she is resuscitated and pulled into a void portal. Now here's the thing, when you actually play that back frame by frame, Azshara looks shocked and horrified, right? So whenever she's first defeated,
Well, yeah.
she is distraught. It seems like that's
She
just
got her
the whole
ass
plan,
beat.
her whole world. It's all crashing down.
Duh.
And what we sort of see when she gets sucked into the void portal, though, that seems to be fear. At least that's my read of it. I think that's how they've animated her. I think that's really what Blizzard are going for. But of course, she gets sucked into that. And there you go. That's it. The cinematic ends. And this leaves us in quite a strange position because...
Like, I don't get how, like, obviously, it doesn't make much sense to me. Like, why would Azshara fuck around with N'Zoth? Like tease him and shit. Because he's... And, like, whenever she's trying to help him escape. Because you think he's gonna be happy about that whenever he gets out? He's gonna be fucking pissed. He's gonna be fucking mad.
Right below where our characters are, N'Zoth's eye has just opened. That whole area is flooded with orange, so ny'lotha, etc., whatever's down there is now active. We seemingly have no acknowledgement of that. And whenever she is pulled away by that void tentacle into the portal, well, it's not like that suddenly means that N'Zoth down there below us has also disappeared. So it seems like he's just going to be chilling out down there for a while, and Azshara has been pulled off to some other location. I would suspect she's been pulled off
to the next raid.
You know, deep underground
the
ruins,
next raid.
Sort of old Black Empire stuff. If I was betting, that's where I'd say Azshara is. But quite clearly, this has essentially all went to N'Zoth's plan. And it very much has not went to Azshara's plan. You really do see a lot of, well, the tables constantly being turned. In the Warbringers Azshara cinematic, what do we see? Well, she is in a position of powerlessness as compared to him, in a way. I mean, she is literally about to drown, so there is that. Now, she does correctly say, well, if I'm really powerful and you let me die, you're going to be trapped there forever. So it's not like he is almighty and all-powerful in that stage. But, I mean, you just need to look at the imagery. Azshara's strength does not come from her situation, it comes from her character there. Well, when you look in, say, the opening cinematic of patch 8.2, what do you see? Well, you see very similar imagery, but the power is flipped. Azshara is taunting N'Zoth for being, you know, all locked up and stuffed away in a little box down there below, while she is powerful and she is enacting her plan. And what do we see here? Well, again, the exact opposite, with that big smoky black tendril coming up, but this time N'Zoth is not in a position of weakness, she is, and essentially she has been played. And all of this is quite interesting when you think about what the alliance between those characters really is supposed to be and what N'Zoth's actually been planning this entire time. Because if players are defeated by Azshara in the raid, she says, oh, N'Zoth was wrong, you're not worthy. Now, what is that referring to? That is referring to the Crucible of Storms.
What the fuck?
The Crucible of Storms overtly is a test. It's a test set up by N'Zoth. Now, clearly, Azshara thinks that he
obviously
is
most of the alliance
testing us for some other purpose. But as you see in this raid, what N'Zoth is actually testing us for is whether we are able to seemingly defeat Azshara. Because it's obviously N'Zoth's plan for Azshara to essentially, you know, get us into the right place, zoop our Heart of Azeroth into the thing, and then essentially be disposed with when she is no longer needed.
Duh.
Now, there's actually a bit of a parallel here in Azshara's actions, because it's pretty much almost exactly what Azshara does with Ashvane. You know, they strike up this deal, Azshara promises Ashvane a bunch of power, Ashvane thinks she is acting in her own interest, she thinks she is the protagonist of her own story.
Well,
turns out no, Ashvane is just being played by Azshara, and once Azshara's pretty much done with her, she transforms her into the big brute that we end up fighting in the raid.
That's right.
So you sort of see a little bit of a parallel there between what Azshara did to Ashvane and what N'Zoth is maybe going to be doing to Azshara.
That makes sense.
Now, of course, this whole thing is really a little bit convoluted. It is... I mean, I think it's set up as a mystery box. We're still not really sure what N'Zoth was testing us for. But the thing here is, from Azshara's perspective, a lot of this is quite odd, because... Right, Azshara is not planning on being defeated, obviously from what we see here. Yet, if we defeat her, she taunts us for not being worthy. So what is her plan? Is her plan to prove his test wrong? She at one point does pretty much say you're trapped as I am during the raid, so is she maybe quite aware of what's going on with the N'Zoth situation? And maybe she is trying to seize some power and ultimately betray him, but it turns out
betraying N'Zoth,
right.
I'm sure that's going to go well.
To defeat her, thus robbing her of the chance to double-cross him, meaning that he can zoop his tentacle up, pull her through the void portal, and then I presume I mean, I presume he's going to turn her into a Grommash Hellscream type character. Pretty much. I think, or, you know, like with Ashvane even, I think he's going to try to do some stuff to, you know, turn her into some sort of crazy void monstrosity, but that I think she will ultimately end up siding with us and being a morally grey character. I think that's pretty much what's going to happen for the future. But anyway, N'Zoth's plan here is pretty darn clear. So what does he do? He tests us to find out that we are powerful enough to defeat Azshara. He pretty much knows that, like, his entire goal with Azshara, right, and what he establishes in Warbringers is, hey, let's ally together, you will break me out of my prison, we'll rule together. Well, you know, he tests that we are powerful enough to defeat her. He knows that we will defeat her if given the chance. So from his perspective, he obviously knows, okay, if I can get those players to defeat Azshara, but also get Azshara to free me at the same time, then I'm just going to get a whole bunch of birds killed with one stone.
Yeah,
so
he's just
that's
in
his
charge.
overall plan.
He runs shit.
What does he do? Well, he puts...
I don't see why he really needs to worry about that. I mean, he's a fucking old god. I mean, the Titans had trouble dealing with the old gods. I mean, I'm assuming, like, Azshara to him would be, like, a non-issue. So I don't really understand how, like, he'd be that worried about it. I mean, look at Yogg-Saron. I mean, that caused a big problem over in Northrend, and we were basically just beating one of his pimples. I mean, these old gods are just really, really, really powerful.
The Black Blade of the Empire into Sylvanas' hands. She gives that to Ny'lotha.
He's the weakest of the old gods. Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure, like, it's like a very weak person can still step on an ant. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's basically the power dynamic between Azshara and N'Zoth. I mean, N'Zoth is a fucking old god. I mean, give me a break.
The Black Blade is then used to pretty much lure everyone into Nazjatar. Sylvanas, to a degree, is seemingly in this, or knows that something big is going to go down. So he essentially just uses Azshara to cripple us, save himself, or break himself out of prison, and then, yeah, who the hell knows what's going to happen with Azshara. We're essentially left now in a position that is rather strange. N'Zoth has been unleashed, technically, if you actually look at the cinematic, but that's not reflected in-game at all, and it's not going to be for quite some time. So that is a little bit of a strange thing. Azshara is now a mystery box character, just like Xal'atath. Just about anything could happen to her. From the perspective of Azshara, she's going to be a bit pissed off at us for defeating her. She's going to be very pissed off at N'Zoth for massively double-crossing her, and that does make me think that we are going to get a Grommash Hellscream-like scenario, as I mentioned earlier, where perhaps in patch 8.3 we will side with Azshara, or, you know, she'll side with us, and
here we
maybe
go.
she'll die getting rid of him, maybe she'll redeem herself, maybe something will happen between her and Sylvanas that takes Sylvanas out of the Horde. There's actually quite a few things that could happen.
They've got to get rid of Sylvanas.
And really, I think that's the point. I think that is exactly where Blizzard wanted to leave us. They quite clearly did not want to do a Tomb of Sargeras where we flat out know where the next patch is. Right? That's pretty obvious.
I wish we did.
They definitely could have teased so much.
But I like that. It, like, the end of the Tomb of Sargeras, so it's the best fucking ending they ever had, right? In Tomb of Sargeras, you finally killed KJ. Velen and KJ made up. They're like, we're still boys. Don't worry about it. I know you've been doing this bullshit for like 10,000 years, but you know what, man? I get where you're coming from. And they're chill. They crash onto the other planet. Illidan makes the crystal pull Argus next to Azeroth, and it's in everybody's fucking skybox. Everybody sees it. They know it's coming. And that was the coolest fucking part about it, is you knew, like, the impending doom of Argus was there. Now, obviously, Argus was just go over there and kill 12 demons. It wasn't really as powerful and important as people thought that it would be. Blizzard doesn't really do a very good job communicating that, but I like the fact that you knew what was going to happen.
More here with where the game is going to take us, and they chose not to.
It was hype as
Why
fuck,
could that
dude.
be? Well, I don't want to be cynical, but I think it's pretty obvious, being honest with you. The storytelling of this expansion is a lot more distributed between the patches. So the 0.5 patches of BFA, they do have a lot of story. 8.1.5 covered a lot of very important lore for setting up the Dazar'alor raid. And I'm very sure if you look at what happens in the war campaign, if you look at how Nazjatar is left, you know, this cinematic's not going to tell us what the next, like, patch is going, or the next big raid and the end of the expansion is going to be. 8.2.5 is going to be the thing that does that. So what we have to do is work out what is the final raid going to be, and what is the sort of, you know, the doling up of the story between 8.2.5 and 8.3.
It's gotta be N'Zoth.
It can go in a few ways. So patch 8.2.5, no matter what, it's going to be setting up a little bit of this N'Zoth Azshara stuff for whatever happens in 8.3. That's pretty darn likely. Now, there's basically it all depends on, is the final raid going to be factions, or is it going to be N'Zoth? Because if the final raid is going to be factions, then they would be saving N'Zoth and Azshara for the 9.0 expansion or for 10.0, and yeah, 8.3 would be something, I assume, to do with the big rebellion that's been brewing and everyone coming together to boot out Sylvanas. Although, obviously,
I feel like that actually does make more sense, to be fair. Even though I don't want to see a repeat, it does make more sense that Sylvanas will be the focus rather than, rather than N'Zoth. So they can have the entire next expansion kind of be kicked off by N'Zoth having some sort of like corrupting influence, tie that into a level squish, and actually kind of make sense out of things.
That would be bringing in a lot of the life versus death stuff and the other themes that have been seeping into the Warcraft universe over the last while.
Right.
And if that's going to be the final raid, then 8.2.5 is probably going to be setting that up and wrapping up our, you know, story for now with N'Zoth and Azshara.
Okay.
However, if N'Zoth is going to be the final villain of patch 8.3, then it's pretty darn clear that patch 8.2.5 is going to have to focus on dealing with the faction narrative, the burning of Thunderbluff, whatever's going to happen there. All of the things
if they burn Thunderbluff, I'm gonna be mad.
Cinematic lore breakdown videos. So that's
I'm gonna be so fucking mad.
What I think is going to happen. Ian Hazzikostas, of course, the game director of World of Warcraft, did say that this patch would pretty much tell us what is going on for the, you know, the final boss of this expansion, and that does mean that if you're going to read this patch, like if you're going to read it, and I think talk about what's obvious, yeah, N'Zoth has just woken up. Probably going to kill him in patch 8.3. And that means that the faction narrative is probably going to be mostly resolved in patch 8.2.5, which I do think makes sense because they've already done a faction raid. I don't know if they're going to do that again, and I don't think they're going to just have Sylvanas be the end boss and kill her. I think it's pretty clear they have other things they want to do with that character. So yeah, that's essentially what I think is going on. If you think about N'Zoth now, we are pretty pissed off about, with him, obviously.
Yeah,
Azshara's going to be pretty pissed off with him, obviously. And if you actually listen to what Xal'atath said for years, Xal'atath doesn't like N'Zoth. Now, sure, Xal'atath recently played along with N'Zoth, but if you look at the lore there, well, they weren't really friends. The other old gods, really screwed over Xal'atath. So a part of me does wonder if, you know, there'll sort of be like alternate void forces going against N'Zoth, and that is a part of how Blizzard will sort of bring in the light and void sort of narrative, where you can have bad light.
I don't know about that, dude.
Void, and then maybe Xal'atath.
I don't know about that, dude.
Would be, you know, something like that.
Reception, thanks for 5 subs, man.
But again,
Thank
I think
you.
the point that I made earlier stands. It's a mystery box, right? It's just a J.J. Abrams mystery box. They can do essentially whatever they want with this stuff. Now, the final thing that is said in this cinematic is all eyes will be opened. Now, of course, that does tie into a lot of the Void whispering stuff and how that usually sort of plays out. You know, with the Void, you're opening your eyes to infinite knowledge, but that knowledge is maddening. You're seeing potential futures that may not happen. You're seeing false dreams, all of that stuff. That's pretty
I feel like that's just his eyes, and that's what kind of makes sense.
Universe. If we're going to take it a bit more literally, and you look at, say, the Eye of N'Zoth, or the Gift of N'Zoth that's given to players after the Crucible of Storms raid, well,
that's right, I forgot about that.
It's a third eye on your head. So, yeah, saying all eyes will be open, it's pretty darn clear that, it's pretty clear that's all sort of linked together, and that everybody is going to be marching along happily to his lovely Lovecraftian tune, which, of course, if you look at, say, ny'lotha, the prose poem, the Lovecraft one, I think everyone's sort of eyes being, you know...
I don't know what the hell that is. I have no idea what the hell that is.
And all of that spooky stuff that they really try to spin with N'Zoth, that all just seems to be right on theme, and I think it does pretty much hint that we're going to be having something ny'lotha-like for
if they don't, I'll be mad.
The game. So really, I think that's just about all that I have to say with this cinematic. I have no idea how long I've went on for, but it was only a minute of footage, so I mean, yeah, who knows how much
he's
I got
extending
out of it,
content as long as I am. This is impressive.
An interesting topic. I think it's a little
18
bit
minutes going into one video. It's a minute
that
long.
would have excited players a good bit more, and I think especially
That's
because
good.
the faction narrative is not overly exciting to players, it seems, it would have been good if more of that stuff was teased, at least in the here and now. It could all be playing into some sort of larger plan that Blizzard have for the narrative and how they're going to unveil all of that. But yeah, I suppose I'll just end this by kicking it to you. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think Azshara will be friend or foe? Do you think she will be alive or dead by the end of this expansion? Do you think ny'lotha will be the end boss of this expansion? And I suppose, did you like the cinematic? Did you not? Let me know what you think down below. Thank you very much for watching this video, and with that, I shall see you next time.
It's like, I like the cinematic. I mean, I think everybody liked the cinematic. The fucking problem, what was it? It wasn't even that. It wasn't as long as it should have been. That's all there was to it. How do you feel about flying into new zones? It's fucking great, man. Azshara is going to be the star of a very large hentai episode. That's right, dude. She's still kind of sexy for a fish. Look at that. Somebody actually quoted McConnell. Oh my god.
Oh my god, I actually got quoted?
Yeah, she's still kind of sexy for a fish.
Oh my god.
That's
Dude,
actually true.
I'm actually moving up in the world.
Look at that, man. Over the Black Empire isn't going to be in this 8.3. I want it to be a whole expansion. I agree with this too. They should make it much bigger than what people are talking about here. Someone made a deal with Ultimate Darkness and was betrayed. Never saw that before. Yeah, a big fucking surprise. Wait, so basically the thousand-eyed squid demon doesn't actually care about keeping his end of the bargain. What a twist. Wow, yeah, I would have never expected that. Shara is Illidan 2.0. Here, what if they do this, right? What if they release ny'lotha? Now, what is the only force that can stop an old god?
Dildos.
I don't think
Dragon.
No.
Dragon dildos.
It's the Titans.
With cum.
Okay. All right. So here's why I think here's what's going to happen. What if at the end of the next expansion, we somehow get Sargeras to work with us to defeat ny'lotha? Or towards the end of the next expansion if they make it an old god expansion. Because that's the only thing that could possibly defeat ny'lotha. Like, Sargeras is literally the only thing that could defeat ny'lotha. Like, nothing else in the entire game would even come close. That's the only way it would make sense. Sargeras will just cleave Azeroth. That's going to happen 100%. To North Azeroth, Illidan's going to be pissed then? Well, Illidan would come back, right? I mean, they've had some time to talk it out. They'll probably be fine.
Dude.
What?
What the fuck?
What?
Click the link I just sent you on Discord.
Okay. This is good to open on stream, right?
Maybe. What's he doing?
He's just restreaming my stream, it looks like. To North Azeroth, Illidan's gonna be pissed. There's 4 people watching.
This guy's re-streaming your stream.
Who gives a fuck? I mean, it's like 4 people. Like, I mean, I'm really, it's not, that doesn't affect me. Report it. I'll deal with it later, okay? I don't want to deal with it right now. Anyway, let's see over here. Separates up. Yeah, I'll report it later on. I don't want to deal with it right now. Anyway, here's what I'm really trying to say, okay? Some announcements better. Yeah. Okay. Let's see.